What was it you said?
I didn't say nothing, man.
Oh.
Nothing. I just say nothing.
Yet,
May I say that I have seen Richard's special?
No, you may not say that.
Okay. I'm very sorry.
That's good.
In fact, though, that I have seen it, and it's hilarious. It's not quite as funny as mine, but it's really very funny. It's very funny.
have you seen Chevy's special?
I don't like Chevy.
Okay, we're going to come right back and take another look at the slides here right after this commercial break. So stay with us.
Imagine being hailed as the funniest man in America, and 4 decades later, not even getting an invite to the reunion. When SNL marked its 50th anniversary, Chevy Chase was the invisible presence in the room. Why? Because a damaging pattern of behavior had been in motion since 1976. This is the chronicle of how one of comedy's original geniuses turned into Hollywood's most notorious outcast. To grasp the tragedy of Chevy Chase, you need to understand the arithmetic of show business. It's simple. Your talent must outweigh your trouble. For years, Chevy's talent was sky high. He was fast, sharp, charming, and uproariously funny. But slowly, then suddenly, the balance shifted. This isn't merely a tale of a mean celebrity. It's the story of self-sabotage, a man who held the keys to the kingdom. The National Lampoon empire, the SNL legacy, box office dominance, and systematically tossed it all away, insult by insult. It all reached a head at a single dinner in 1989 that would end up costing him $476 million. But first, let's rewind to the moment the decay began, 1975, New York City. Saturday Night Live premiered as an ensemble, meant to be a collective effort. But the cameras adored Chevy, and Chevy adored them back. He was the breakout star, the only cast member with a contract that let him skip rehearsals. While John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd labored over scripts until dawn, Chevy was being interviewed by New York Magazine, which featured him on the cover, dubbing him the heir to Johnny Carson. He wasn't just a comedian, he was a rock star. At 32, that kind of adulation was dangerous. It convinced him he didn't need the writers, the cast, or anyone else. He walked away after a single season, abandoning the cultural juggernaut he helped create because he saw himself as bigger than the institution. When a writer asked why he was leaving his colleagues, he didn't offer sentimental farewells. He said bluntly, "Money, lots of money." Chevy went to Hollywood to chase movie stardom, leaving behind a trail of resentment. When he returned to host SNL a year later, the hallway was waiting. A new sheriff had arrived, Bill Murray, hired to replace Chevy, who had spent a year in his shadow. The audience missed Chevy, critics missed Chevy, and Murray was the underdog. When Chevy returned to 30 Rock, acting as if he owned the place, barking orders, and commandeering the weekend update desk from Jane Curtin, the tension erupted. The confrontation peaked in John Belushi's dressing room minutes before the live show. Words were exchanged. Murray told Chevy everyone hated him. Chevy, true to form, lashed out. He mocked Murray's acne scars, saying they looked like a landing site for Neil Armstrong. Murray responded with a sharp retort. Soon, the two funniest men in America were tangling on the floor, only to be separated by Belushi and Aykroyd. As the chaos subsided, Murray delivered an insult that haunted Chevy for decades. Medium talent. Not untalented, not a hack, medium talent. It struck at the heart of what Chevy valued most, his genius. Chevy shrugged it off, delivered his monologue, and skyrocketed in movies. For the next decade, it seemed Chevy had the last laugh with hits like Caddyshack, Fletch, and Vacation. Untouchable, yet the headaches grew. In the 80s, rumors surfaced of diva antics and real cruelty. In 1985, Chevy hosted SNL again. Among the cast was 20-year-old prodigy Robert Downey Jr. Instead of a greeting, Chevy asked pointedly about Downey's father, a filmmaker battling public struggles. He also targeted Terry Sweeney, SNL's first openly gay cast member, pitching a cruel AIDS joke during a terrifying epidemic. Michaels forced him to apologize. Chevy wasn't upset about the cruelty. He was furious he had to say sorry. By 1997, Will Ferrell labeled him the worst host he had ever worked with, recalling how Chevy systematically insulted everyone in a pitch meeting, even making an inappropriate suggestion to a female writer. After this, he was banned. His 2012 request for another chance was denied. This was the recurring pattern. Punch down, humiliate, move on. Chevy earned money until one fateful miscalculation changed everything. 1989. Warner Brothers prepped National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, hiring an eager young director, Chris Columbus. Columbus, broke and desperate, pitched his vision over dinner, only for Chevy to sit stone-faced, saying, "Wait, you're the director? I thought you were a drummer," before walking out. Columbus called John Hughes, the producer, and quit. Chevy's headache value was so high that the young director preferred poverty over working with him. Hughes, sympathetic, offered Columbus other scripts. One became Home Alone, grossing $476 million, the highest-grossing live-action comedy of all time. Chevy got Christmas Vacation, a $73 million success, but a franchise dead end. Columbus went on to dominate family blockbusters. Chevy lost not just a director, but the network and the protective people around him. By the mid-90s, box office hits stopped. Flops like Memoirs of an Invisible Man and Cops and Robertsons followed. Fox gave him a talk show in 1993 with a massive budget and promotion, but it was canceled in 5 weeks amid critical disdain. In 2002, Comedy Central roasted him. Normally affectionate, this roast was merciless. Chevy had no friends left. They shredded his failed show, addiction, and career missteps. Sitting indoors in sunglasses, he muttered, "That hurt," and asked, "Why do they hate me?" Truly oblivious. Narcissism's tragedy. Destroy the village, then wonder why no one invites you over. 2009 brought Community, the perfect role. Chevy as Pierce Hawthorne, a cantankerous, alienating millionaire. But history repeated. He couldn't share the stage with younger talent, especially Donald Glover. Showrunner Dan Harmon watched Chevy sabotage Glover with racist comments. In 2018, Pete Davidson called him a genuinely racist person on Howard Stern, noting this wasn't history. It followed him into a new generation. Glover observed Chevy fighting time. A once great artist unable to accept his reign was over. He was eventually fired after using a racial slur, repeating the same mistake as before. Finally, at SNL's 50th anniversary, comedy legends were on stage. Murray, Aykroyd, Murphy, Fay. Chevy, the originator of Live from New York, It's Saturday Night, sat in the audience. Reports suggested Michaels doubted his focus. Murray ranked him fourth among Weekend Update anchors. Chevy called it a mistake, but it was the consequence of decades of behavior. Chevy Chase is a study in legacy versus longevity. Talent alone wasn't enough. Generosity was the missing key. Columbus built worlds. Murray became a folk hero. Glover conquered multiple mediums. Chevy remains the smartest guy in the room, but now, it's a very empty room. CNN's documentary, I'm Chevy Chase, and You're Not calls him the rudest celebrity ever interviewed. At 82, he's still swinging, insulting, and puzzled why no one wants him around. Half a century later, the punchline lands, Chevy Chase, and no one else. That's the untold story. If this intrigued you, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and comment on who else deserves a deep dive. I've got a long list, but I want to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.